Hi guys, welcome back to my IGTV series. Since my last episode, I actually rebranded. New name, new services. So that's why I've been a little hiatus this whole time. But yeah, if you aren't familiar with my rebrand, I was doing event planning for weddings and lifestyle events and corporate events and nonprofits and creative events. And then, actually last year, I've always offered hourly consulting, but last year I started making the switcheroo to do it like as my main service. And then COVID hit and poof, I'm here. I'll still plan events and such by request, but my main service is hourly consulting now. And now I realized that I have always offered consulting for venues, but never, I guess I never put my title as like a venue consultant, but now I do. So I help venues, whether they're just breaking ground, if they started construction and they're lost, or they need a rebrand, or they realize like I need a venue manager type of thing. That's what I do. So over the course of COVID, I networked with a lot of people, and the most common thing that I found with venues when I was talking with them is that they didn't know a lot about branding. And so I thought for my first episode, it would be for all of you event venues out there that need help with branding. I've also, saw and heard that a lot of venues need a little, refresh during this time. They're just like bored with what their aesthetic looked like. I call it the 3 to 4 year syndrome, because that's on average like when people start getting bored with their brand and then they like rebrand everything. So it's kind of like a relationship. Like you're with a person for about 3 or 4 years and then you're like, are we gonna like get married, or are we just gonna go our separate ways? 3 to 4 year syndrome. But anyways, I was talking to these venues and they, wanted a refresh with their brand, or they realized during this whole time that their brand just isn't working. And so I thought I would just go over 3 free tips to help you with branding if you are an event space that is going through this right now. So number 1, obviously your classic branding is your digital presence. So your website, your logo, your branding colors, do they all match your overall interior space? Do they match your values? Do they match your culture? And do they even match the event types that you actually host? So let's say you're a wedding venue and you have, here's the kitty, she has to make her debut. This is Schnookums. If you are new to following me, she's my little black kitty. She's really annoying, but I love her. She just always has to be in the video. Anyways, sorry. So if you are a wedding venue that has like, a light and airy interior space, like maybe it's all white, and it's soft and romantic, does your logo display that? Does your branding colors on like your website and your logo, do they display that? Does your website display that? I even put it in the category, I'm just going to leave her here because she won't leave me alone if I just ignore her. So anyways, when it comes to, with venue consulting, my specialty is with venues that want to host other events besides just weddings. So even with your imagery, do you even have photos of all the different types of event types that you host in your space? If you host corporate events or fashion shows or art shows, do you have imagery on your website that displays that? Or is it just wedding photos? That is one huge common mistake that venues do, is they'll only have wedding photos, but they won't, have imagery of other event types that they host. They may have it in the content, but they don't have it in the image. So, that's branding tip number 1, your digital presence. Number 2, your interior. Does your interior space match the event types that you host? Like, is it more like, do you have just like 2 green rooms and which would be like your bride and groom space, and then just like a big open space? What is the lighting like? Things like that. Does your does your aesthetics match the event types too? Like if you have a like a more like underground looking venue, is it really made for weddings? I hope that makes sense. Think about the interior color of your space. Think about, I actually read up on color psychology a lot. In addition to this business, I'm actually a personal stylist and an interior decorator. And I really read up on color psychology and how that affects, your brand and how you feel as a person and things like that. So if you are looking to interior decorate your space differently, really read up on color psychology, because that can really help, by the way, with sales and whatnot. And also look at like the trends, like what are brides loving right now? Like for me, honestly, when I'm working with a venue, I'm like, how can we make it different? Like that's what I like doing. I don't really interior decorate a space and design it to be super trendy, just because trends have to start somewhere, so why not be the match to the fire? So think about your interior space and how does that match your brand as well. When it comes to your interiors, what do you offer that your competitors don't too? Think about that too. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, one other thing too on that note is if you're a luxury event space, do your amenities and your staff match with that? Just think about it. Which goes into my next thing. And third and final tip is your team. Okay, so I think about, your staff members, the way they act, the way they dress. Does it match your brand as well? If you are a luxury brand, like, do they come off as like super professional? Do they dress professional? Do they talk professional? Do they, when they're touring, giving a tour of your space, do they give that luxury experience? Body language, does it match it? Everything about that, like, does it just match? I do put etiquette into that as well, as I mentioned, so just think about that too. Even your partnerships, like your vendors that you allow in your venue, do they match your brand too? And like your aesthetics and, going back to like the culture and the values and the type of clients that you want in your space. Do your partnerships with caterers and photographers and things like that match it? So I hope this helps. 3 branding tips for you guys. I hope it does. If you have any questions, let me know. You can find me at mheventconsulting.com. All right. Bye, guys.